Third part of our level 1 notability session. In this segment, we're going to take a look at the fun stuff with adding media, inserting media, the different options that we'll have with our camera roll, the camera itself, even using the camera as a document scan. There's also GIFs and web clips that you could add along with sticky notes. So let's have some fun and get right into it. Here I've got an open page, as you could see, in Notability, and I'm going to make some use of that plus sign. So here up at the top of the screen, we'll see that the plus has a bunch of different choices, such as the photo library. These are existing pictures that you've already taken, or I could take a picture right now when I'm in the moment. I could also do some document scans. So let's just focus on these three elements to start, and we'll show you how it all works. By simply clicking on the photo library, it's going to ask me, if you haven't already done so, to allow Notability access into your camera roll. Once you allow that, you can get a chance to see all your photos or recently added. So I'll just go like this and take a look at a few items that we had from some classwork. I'll take a picture here. This is an interesting one. I will add it. And here I am in an elementary classroom talking about the water cycle. So that is a photo right from my camera roll. And I could put some captions. I could round out the corners to my preference. I can crop this. So maybe I don't quite want everything. Maybe I just want this smaller part. So I'm going to click on crop, and by pulling in the top and bottom corners, I can cater things a little bit more the way I would like. So I'll click the check mark to approve it, and now I could resize it as I wish, and I could place it on the screen the way I might want. Notice also there is a way to enable and disable text wrapping. So if I was doing a lot of typing, I can get that to bounce out the edges, and you could play with that as you explore the media features. I could obviously cut and copy and delete from this place too. Cutting means I'm removing it from this spot, and I could put it somewhere else within Notability, even into a different note. I could do the same thing with copying. I can copy right here, add another image of this. So let me just use my lasso button, and I will, with two fingers, tap right in the center of the image. I will copy this, and now I will tap off to the side. You can see to the right, now the word paste is available, and I can go ahead and put that there. Also notice the little grid lines that might come up to help align things. So you could do that, and as I said, you can just cut it completely or delete it completely. When cutting it, it remains on the clipboard, and I can go into a different note and drop it there. Let's continue on with the media insert. I can go back to the camera itself. So you could take a picture right in the room that you're working in. I happen to be at the teacher center using a couple of different screens. And if there's a mask, and I could take a picture of some work that I have, and if that's what I want to use, I would click use the photo. If it's not what I wanted, I can obviously do it again. So using the camera is exactly how you would expect, especially with the iPad, just taking a picture using your screen and your front-facing camera. So, and you could reverse your cameras, of course, too. But I'm just going to delete this for now and get into the third feature, which is basically using the camera again. So as I click on the document scan, my front-facing camera is going to appear. And what I'm going to do now, and I hope this doesn't make anyone seasick, is to go and look at, what it's doing is it's getting a little stir crazy here. It's automatically taking these pictures as it sees the inside of documents. It knows how, this is a U.S. Regents exam, it knows the space it's trying to find, and if I tip my camera a certain way, you could see. So play with that. See what you like and what you don't like. I'm just going to save this for now, and it's going to insert either as PDFs or as images. For now, I'm just going to use them as images so I could play around on my screen. Again, with the lasso button up at the top selected, I should be able to take two fingers, click inside an image, and because it's stacked them all up here, I don't even want that one, so I'm just going to delete it. This one was a mistake as well, so I'm going to delete that. I'm not sure what happened here, but needless to say, I've got this document. So I'm going to two-finger tap right inside. I'm going to position this to where I want. And maybe now I could use this with my class. So as I begin to use my pen tools up at the top, I could begin to circle, write, highlight. Okay, whoops, let me change the color here. I'll undo that, right? All the tools that we talked about in the previous segment are available to me. With my pinch pull techniques, I could now have this ready for a presentation that I might be using as the primary instruction, modeling, or I could just save it on my note and use it for another time, etc. So in that first piece was the photo library, your camera, and your document scan, excuse me. The next choice is GIF files. So you might be probably more familiar with GIF files as you think about using your phone and sending messages to friends. But Notability has recently added GIFs to be allowable. So if you type in things, and I did already test this once, let's suppose the sun, and if I like that one, I could search it and do what I want. But here now I have a live image that I could add into my document, and it gives it that little bit of life that you might be looking for to give your document some character, right? And I always love using features like this. Anytime we can get students to make notes rather than take notes, they take ownership in a different way that allows them to really take a different level of pride in their note making. So take advantage of this. It's certainly with the sun here, it brightens up my document and it makes it a little bit more fun. So this might be really great, and then you could also see that maybe it could be overused as well, just like any kind of animation that you might have to a presentation from other apps. Okay, I'm going to go down to this document here. I'll use this as my next discussion point. And there's a valuable tool here that I'm gonna skip down to stickies. Web clips is a little bit trickier, so I'm gonna save that for the end. Using stickies, we can do a variety of things. It's just like you think a post-it note might be added to a document when kids are reading and working on things and taking special notes. Now, of course, with Notability, you could write all over things, and it's not like writing in a textbook from years past. But a sticky note helps highlight things, and a sticky note can be moved and changed. So let me just show you very quickly the different kinds you could see. I could make my sticky note have lines, it could have grids, dots, or I could use it straight away for typing. I'll start with a blank sticky note, and this one came up as a rectangle, but if I want to make it more of a post-it note, okay, I could change the size. I can grab that little tab to the top center and maneuver it around the page. If I don't like that color, I could change it to some other primary colors here. But then I could also go in and use the entire spectrum of colors, including, like we've talked about in the past, adding my own specific color for the purposes of branding and just getting really hyper control with it. But the primary sticky notes are the ones that are included with this default palette. But now that I have it, I can tap off for a second. I could use my stylus pen, and I'm just going to zoom in to help myself write this a little bit quicker. And I'll write my name. And as soon as I use that lasso to grab that sticky note, I'm pulling with it the text that I am annotating. So that could be a really great feature. And if this was something that I wanted to add as a close read activity, I could add some post-it notes along with my scanned document the way you see it here. Perhaps I'm in a math class and I want to use grid lines for my sticky note. So I'll just double tap again to move this to a spot where I'd like. Notice that Notability tries to force it on one sheet. So you see this line. This is going onto the second piece of paper. I'm going to make this a little bit more like a square so I could do my XY axis. And I'll just go ahead and do that. So, I'll tap and hold, make it nice and clear, put my arrows, and I'll do this, and I'll put my arrows. And now kids can plot, the 2-1 mark, maybe use a different color, maybe use a different thickness. There's 2-1, -3, 1, -1, right? And now kids can do this as far as drawing some stuff. So hopefully your notes, your stickies, are giving you different options that you might use. And don't forget, you could also just type right in there and then move that little sticky as necessary. The last feature that I want to showcase in the media is the web clip. I don't find this to be very useful, if I'm perfectly honest, but let me show you how it works. Um, Incidentally, you may want to, I'm using the iOS version 15. It has the triple dots at the top of the screen. If I triple dot, I could separate my screen and have, say, a web browser available to me. And by doing that, I could easily use, two windows, so to speak. So if I'm done with that, I'll just, click it to the side. But when I want to add some media, like a web clip, I'm literally taking the web and I'm going to drop it right on my document. So let me just go like this, give it some space. I'm going to go to Safari. I'm going to go to this Google image thing here. And the way to add a whole web page right onto my Notability note is to tap and hold, and I'm going to copy, and I'm going to go back to Notability. Notice in the top left corner, I can go back to Notability, and from here, I'm going to use my text editor so that I can paste the website. And by tapping into it, it's going to ask me if I want to copy, open, or create a web clip. By creating a web clip, it's going to auto create a little window inside my Notability note. And if I tap save in the top right corner, it will push this in, and I could round the corners and I could edit and crop and do stuff so that I have this. Now I still have this ugly web address up here, so I'm just going to backspace this to delete it. So you can see why I think that it's not as user-friendly as you might imagine. And maybe there's a couple of hacks out there that that you have come across or that you'll hear other people use. But it's a nice feature to add something here, and maybe it's just exactly what you're looking for, and maybe it's something that you don't necessarily think that you could use as easily. So in this segment, session 3 is asking you to basically add a lot of different media types. And your job is to show some evidence is to basically create a new note and go ahead and insert a picture from your camera roll, take a picture using your camera, scan a document. So you might want to have a worksheet would work great. Something that you would have in class would work great, but it could be any piece of paper. But play around with the scan document feature, and then try adding a sticky note. If you want to add in a GIF file and or a web clip, that's up to you. But ultimately, your job is to take a picture of your Notability page and submit it in for evidence. So hopefully this is a good session. You enjoyed playing around with the additional features of Notability. Good luck and have fun.